Artem Aronovich, hello. I'm very glad to welcome you. For several weeks now, the Ministry of Defense has been issuing a weekly summary at the end of Friday, and it seems that at this pace, we're liberating about 5 settlements in less than a week. What is the reason for this increase in pace? What are our goals?
Genia, good evening. Well, actually, all of this was predictable, and we've talked about it many times that no matter how hard the Ukrainian side tries, it still won't be able to withstand the pressure of forces and resources. They only have enough resources to hold back all these forces for a certain period of time. And of course, what has happened over the past, let's say, 5 or 6 months is already having a significant impact, even affecting the moral and psychological state of the Ukrainian troops themselves. We can also state that no matter how much weaponry is supplied to the Ukrainian side, it is still not enough, because offensive actions by the Russian Ministry of Defense troops are taking place along the entire perimeter. Therefore, all directions are gradually being pushed through. And as you correctly noted, on average, each week costs the Ukrainian side about 5 settlements. And of course, the territories that come under our control, along with these settlements, and the fact that in these areas, both to the right and to the left, the positions themselves are starting to completely collapse. This all gives us hope that we will be able, I believe, to make it so that the Ukrainian side finally comes to the conclusion that it is no longer able to resist us.
Artem Aronovich, this week it was impossible not to notice 2 events. First, of course, is the restriction on arms supplies to Ukraine eat least. That's what the Pentagon has announced. Just now, by the way, Trump stated after his conversation with Zelensky that he would discuss air defense supplies to Kyiv, but nevertheless, for now, they remain limited. And of course, there's also massive strikes on infrastructure using military drones and missiles all week, especially in recent days, which have, to put it mildly, escalated in scale. How and when might this affect the situation on the front line?
Zhenya, well, in reality, we have truly gained significant momentum both in the development and production of all these, as I say, unmanned aerial vehicles and the missiles themselves, their production as well. We can see that. If you remember, Zhenya, at the very beginning, when the special military operation had just started literally a couple of days in, they were speculating about how many days it would take for us to run out of missiles. Today, we can see that, on the contrary, our military industrial component, as they say, is only gaining momentum. And naturally, this also has a huge impact on the state, both economically and militarily, of the country that is currently, to put it bluntly, simply resisting us. Because if before we could say that we were fighting them, today it turns out that we are systematically grinding them down, destroying them, and moving forward. And of course, the fact that their air defense has been knocked out, that the air defense system supplied to them turned out not to be as powerful and serious as to be able to intercept everything and prevent any strikes. This also had a certain impact on the psychological level of those people who were hoping that by receiving certain weapons from Europe and America, they would be protected in all aspects. Yes, today we are recording that all the factories and industrial enterprises are being knocked out. In other words, their military-industrial complex is currently in a very serious state of decline. And of course, now we've also started gradually taking out the TCCs as well. That is the territories where the TCCs are located. This also made me very happy. I'm sure these made all of you happy too, because these are the very organizations that supply cannon fodder to the front lines, and now they too have started to be gradually taken out. So I'll put it this way, there's already a real sense that the Ukrainian side is faltering in all its aspects. This feeling is already there. And of course, for them to fully feel the impact of these strikes, it will take at least a month or 2, because every piece of weaponry and equipment was produced earlier, and they have it stored somewhere in their warehouses. So of course we haven't destroyed all their warehouses where all this is kept. Until all of that runs out, we won't fully feel the effects. although we can already see that the strikes are not being carried out on the same scale with the same, so to speak, long-range weapons as before. So it is already being felt to some extent. That's why we keep doing our job. I want to say that indeed Russia has already gained such momentum that probably no one can make it slow down except for our victory.
Artem Aronovich, apparently the enemy is closely following our live broadcast. How else can you explain the fact that just now the commander of the UAV forces of the Ukrainian armed forces, with a call sign Madyara, serious military leader, by the way, has just stated there will be 1,000 Shahids per day and even more. He is, in general, the kind of person that the enemy is serious, yes. And these words should be taken seriously. Merz spoke on the phone with Trump about air defense for Ukraine, asked Trump to resume arms supplies to Ukraine. These are all breaking news updates that have come in during our conversation. What are the Akhmat fighters currently engaged in, and where are they fighting?
Well, regarding Magyar, of course I'll say that you should always respect your enemy if he is worthy. Magyar knows his job well. Basically, I'll say, apart from the fact that he can't compete with us, he's probably a good commander. As for the Akhmat Special Forces units, we are still stationed in the same areas as before, which are currently the most important sectors in the Belgorod region, specifically at the junction with the Kursk region. So I redeployed the aid detachment to help the guys in the Tekkina direction. They're spread out, doing their job, taking out and destroying many enemy forces every day. I believe that very soon the enemy will see how this entire line of contact has moved far forward, and it will end up somewhere, well, at the very least on the Dnipro, most likely in any scenario that will be the minimum amount. And when they refuse to even negotiate and won't agree that they need to give up the territories that are currently under our control, I think it shouldn't surprise anyone that the longer this war goes on, the less territory Ukraine has left. And besides, we have no interest in leaving the Odessa and Mykolaiv regions to Ukraine. Ideally, we should reach Transnistria to our brothers there so that this entire line is closed off. I hope that they still won't have the sense to fall to their knees and beg us to stop, because in that case, we might perhaps show some mercy. In that case, the Supreme Commander-in-Chief could give the order and say, all right, we're stopping. So as long as they haven't done that yet, we'll keep moving forward. And Akhmat will do its job just like Kenya as a part of the machine called the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation.
Thank you very much, Abdi Aronovich. A huge greeting and deep respect to all the Akhmat fighters who are right now defending our freedom and independence with weapons in their hands. Abdi Alaudinov, General Assistant to the Head of Chechnya, Commander of the Akhmat Special Forces, Hero of Russia, is with us live from the Special Military Operations Zone